ακούτε? Τώρα σιγά σιγά ας δώσουμε οι Έλληνες πρώτα το παράδειγμα, να καθίσουμε στις θέσεις μας για να ακολουθήσουν και οι φιλοξενούμενοι. Πάρτε και τα ποτηράκια με τη μουντοβίνα, θα χρειαστεί. Για να ερχόμαστε όλοι, μιλούμε ελληνικά καταρχάς, γιατί οι φιλοξενούμενοι θα μας ακολουθήσουν. Εκεί αντιδήμαρχοι που μιλούν, κύριε Πασχάλη, κύριε Τσέλιο, κύριε Κουκαλιάρη. Θα αρχίσω να λέω τώρα ονόματα. Καθίσουμε όλοι σιγά σιγά. Έχουμε όλοι θέσεις. Κυρία Σουλτάνη, κύριε Οικονομίδη. Έρχεται και ο κύριος Κούβελας. Νομίζω ότι βλέπω και τον κύριο Κυλέκα να ξεκινήσουμε πια. Να καθίσουμε όλοι. Dear participants, welcome to my country. Welcome to Eastern Halkidiki. Welcome to this green and blue destination. Please, for a moment, look ahead. This is the Aegean Sea, the Mediterranean Sea. Now, turn your eyes to the left, just to the left. It's the Aristotelian mountain, where Aristotle, the greater philosopher of Greek history, not only was born. Look at the distance, Mount Aegeo and Amphipolis. Look ahead to the right. It's Mount Athos. Let your eyes be lost in the blue of the Acanthian Sea and wonder if there is such a place on earth so blessed by history and the divine match. Dear guests, in this land of Aristotle and Mount Athos, in this historical crossroads, in this natural setting, today and tomorrow, the nations of the Balkans describe how they feel Aristotle's balance in politics and modern self-government. At this point, when the Aristotelian land meets Mount Athos through the Sea of Acanthos, we will talk about peace as countries that for thousands of years have been struggling to keep roots alive and strong. The origin, the language, the religion, the independence, our name.
Ladies and gentlemen, let the following Aristotle Symposium begin.
I present the coordinator, Mariana Karava, political scientist and educator.
Thank you, Maria. We first invite the Greek delegation. Kostas Gioulekas, Minister of the Ministry of Macedonia, Thrace.
Συνάδελφοι στη Βουλή, καλώς ήρθατε εδώ στην Μακεδονία. Dear guests, I would like to welcome here in the center, in the heart of Macedonia. It's a great pleasure for us to welcome to our country and to our area, because here in Macedonia is the birthplace of the greatest Greek in the centuries of Great Alexander. It is the birthplace of the greatest philosophers in the centuries of Aristotle. And it's a very good opinion. Congratulations, Mr. Valianos, Major Stelios Valianos. It's a great opinion for us to discuss with our neighbors, with our guests, with our friends from the Balkan countries about our society, about our future. A future based in the roots of Greek philosophy, of the ideas of Aristotle. It's very, very important for us to organize many events as this symposium, because we believe that this is the good, the better way to know better what we can do all together for our common future, because our neighborhood, the Balkan Peninsula, is our home, and for that we try all together to go a step to the future with through the friendship, through the cooperation, through the collaboration. Κυρίες και κύριοι, είναι πολύ σημαντικό για μας το ότι βρισκόμαστε εδώ, το ότι βρισκόμαστε στην καρδιά της Χαλκιδικής, και είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό το ότι ο Δήμος Αριστοτέλη και ο Δήμαρχος, ο Στέλιος ο Βαλιάνος, οργανώνει, και μάλιστα για δεύτερη φορά, αυτό το πολύ σημαντικό συνέδριο. Είναι αυτή η άειλη κληρονομιά μας, που είναι πολύ σημαντικό να την προβάλλουμε, αναβαθμίζοντας τους τρόπους με τους οποίους μπορούμε να επικοινωνήσουμε μεταξύ μας. Είναι αυτό το οποίο διαθέτει η Ελλάδα και είναι η μεγάλη μας κληρονομιά. Μπορεί ο πολιτισμός μας να είναι οικουμενικός, ωστόσο οι ρίζες βρίσκονται εδώ, στην Ελλάδα, βρίσκονται εδώ στη Χαλκιδική. Και νομίζω ότι δεν υπάρχει καλύτερος χώρος και καλύτερη ευκαιρία από το να ανακοινώσουμε ένα κοινό σχέδιο που έχουμε και με τον κύριο Βαλιάνο, αλλά και με τα πανεπιστήμια της Μακεδονίας και της Θράκης, το ότι δηλαδή θέλουμε να προωθήσουμε το σχέδιο της δημιουργίας ενός αναβαθμισμένου κέντρου αριστοτελικών σπουδών, με έδρα φυσικά τη Χαλκιδική, και μιας έδρας σπουδών Μεγάλου Αλεξάνδρου με έδρα τη Θεσσαλονίκη και το Αριστοτέλειο Πανεπιστήμιο Θεσσαλονίκης. Είναι κάτι το οποίο το οφείλουμε στους εαυτούς μας, είναι κάτι το οποίο το οφείλουμε και στους γείτονές μας, γιατί αυτό είναι η δυνατότητα που έχουμε να έρθουμε πιο κοντά ο ένας με τον άλλον, αλλά είναι κάτι, αν το θέλετε, που το οφείλουμε και στην ανθρωπότητα. Πρέπει εδώ να δώσουμε την ευκαιρία, δημιουργώντας τις βάσεις, κάποιος που θέλει να ψάξει, να ερευνήσει, να δει, να βρει τι ακριβώς είπανε κάποτε κάποιοι, όπως ο Αριστοτέλης, οι μεγάλοι μας φιλόσοφοι, τι ακριβώς έκαναν κάποιοι, όπως ο μεγαλύτερος Έλληνας όλων των εποχών, ο Μεγαλέξανδρος, το ότι διέσπηρε τον ελληνικό πολιτισμό ανά τον τότε γνωστό κόσμο. Νομίζω ότι δεν υπάρχει ιδανικότερο μέρος για να προωθήσουμε όλα αυτά από τη Μακεδονία μας, από την Ελλάδα ασφαλώς, αλλά ξεκινώντας από εδώ, από τη Μακεδονία και αντίστοιχα από το βορειοελληνικό χώρο. Με αυτές λοιπόν τις σκέψεις καλωσορίζω την Άννα την Καραμαλή, την καλή συνάδελφο, καλωσορίζω τον Ιάσονα τον Φωτήλα, τον καλό συνάδελφο, καλωσορίζω τους συναδέλφους, τον Θόδωρο τον Καράογλου, τον Δημήτρη τον Κούβελα και όλους τους άλλους, και θέλω να πω ένα πολύ μεγάλο ευχαριστώ, Δήμαρχε Στέλιο Βαλιάνε, γιατί μας έφερες εδώ, μας ένωσες εδώ και μας έδωσες την ευκαιρία και να γνωρίσουμε νέους φίλους, αλλά και να μοιραστούμε αυτές τις σκέψεις. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για την πρόσκληση.
Mr. Stelios Valianos, the Mayor of Aristotle Municipality.
Πριν ξεκινήσω έτσι την ομιλία μου, η οποία θα είναι στα αγγλικά, επιτρέψτε μου έτσι έναν χαιρετισμό από καρδιάς, γιατί ξέρετε αυτά που είναι από καρδιάς γίνονται μόνο στη δική σου τη γλώσσα. Θέλω να ευχαριστήσω λοιπόν όλες και όλους που είστε σήμερα εδώ. Ξέρετε, σήμερα είναι πολύ ειδικό το κοινό που είναι σήμερα κοντά μας και σας ευχαριστώ. Ο καθένας από εσάς σηματοδοτεί κάτι και είναι πραγματικά εξαιρετική η τιμή. Είναι σαν να κάθεστε όλοι στην πρώτη σειρά σήμερα, άνθρωποι σημαντικοί από την πολιτική, από την αυτοδιοίκηση, από τον τουρισμό, μέλη της κυβέρνησης, της διπλωματίας, υπουργοί από τις γείτονες χώρες της Βαλκανικής, αυτοδιοικητικοί, επιμελητήρια, οι συνάδελφοί μου στην τοπική αυτοδιοίκηση, χωρίς τους οποίους δεν θα μπορούσε να γίνει τίποτα, οι συνεργάτες μας, όλοι σήμερα εδώ, σε αυτό το μοναδικό τοπίο, για το οποίο σας ευχαριστώ πολύ που μας δίνετε την ευκαιρία να αναδείξουμε μέσα από αυτό το συμπόσιο, μέσα από αυτό το συνέδριο, τόσο το μοναδικό αποτύπωμα που έχει ιστορικά αυτός ο τόπος, όσο και φυσικά την ιστορική παρακαταθήκη, όπως τα ανέφερε προηγουμένως η Μαρία, κοιτώντας στα δεξιά μου να βλέπει κανείς τον Αριστοτέλη και στα αριστερά μου να κοιτάει κανείς και να βλέπει το Άγιο Όρος. Μοναδικά στοιχεία που εμένα τουλάχιστον με συγκινούν και γι' αυτό αγωνιζόμαστε προκειμένου όλα αυτά να αναδεικνύονται με τον καλύτερο τρόπο. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen ministers, members of parliament, ladies and gentlemen ambassadors and consuls, mayors, dear friends. It is a honor and a great pleasure to welcome you to the land of Aristotle, to the place that offered to the world the fruit of Aristotle's legacy, being at the same time a crossroads between ancient Greek wisdom and the wisdom of the teachings of the Christian religion. Let us not forget that this same land is the gateway to Mount Athos. It is a great honor to have you all here as participants in the second International Symposium with a general title following Aristotle. This meeting is not only a practical recognition of the radiance of Aristotelian thought in the modern world, it is also a declaration of faith in the harmonious coexistence, communication and cooperation of the countries, cities and citizens we represent. The codes of culture and tourism unite the past with the present, but also people with the places, experiences and knowledge of other people. They can thus produce results and mutual benefits for the future, to help us make creative use of the facilities of globalization, but also to promote respect for the distinct identity of each people, helping us to overcome the pitfalls of globalization. Culture and tourism are two areas that enable us to recognize what makes us different, but also those common and universal elements of our cultural heritage that transcend borders and unite peoples. The philosopher Aristotle, who according to MIT is the most influential historical figure in the world, is one of those elements that transcend the boundaries of time along with geographical borders. I was thinking, and trying to identify that element that makes Aristotle's philosophy so powerful. The same one that makes the teachings of Jesus Christ to be so powerful through the centuries. Or even the thought of other great cultural figures around the world, with or without religious characteristics. And I think I find an answer in the moral Nikomachis and in the content of the Aristotelian term mesotis, this middle point between exaggeration and lack of, which is the central theme of the symposium this year. The answer came through what felt like an appropriate question. Should a man who seeks in his life the paths of virtue and morality be considered less noble and virtuous if he has never read Aristotle's work? The person who chooses to put into practice love for his neighbor, charity for the poor, abstinence from envious thoughts and pursuits at the expense of his fellow men and women, should he be counted a less good man if he were for any reason unaware that these are precisely the teaching of Christ? I say no. He can't be counted a less good person because of his lack of knowledge. At the same time, I say that the radiance and influence of the legacy and teachings coming from enlightened personalities like Aristotle, or even from the Theanthrope, the God-man, is so powerful precisely because it seeks, meets, and awakens in the soul and conscience of every human being the innate sense of justice, of discerning good from evil, of goodness, of duty to our loved ones and the world around us. Thus, Aristotle's message of mediocrity, of that point which lies between scarcity and excess, come to seek and activate the sense of balance and moderation that we all must seek in our actions, let alone those of us who are involved in public affairs and who manage the fate of larger social groups. I'm sure that together we can seek these characteristics of balance in our relations with each other in order to make our partnership even more effective and to exploit the advantages of our cooperation for the benefit of the places and people we represent. We, here in Municipality of Aristotle, see this concept of cooperation as a pillar of development and growth. We created the Inter-Balkan Cooperation Forum to strengthen the bridges that connect our place with other, not too distant places in our Balkan neighborhood. We are creating networks, Balkan and non-Balkan, on the basis of common characteristics, whether they are regions in the same geographical parallel, or regions with similar mining history, or regions linked to personalities of world renown. Look, we have reached even China in an imaginary meeting between Aristotle and Confucius. Let us, therefore, seek the axis of our cooperation and give them the potential and the possibilities offered by modern technology and science, drawing its ethical principles from the timeless legacy of Aristotle. So, my friends, I welcome you again and thank you for your response to this invitation from the Municipality of Aristotle, this particularly beautiful corner of Chalkidiki. Thank you very much.
Please, let's welcome now Mrs. Anna Karamanli, Deputy Minister of Tourism.
Κύριε Πρόεδρε, αγαπητοί συνάδελφοι από την κυβέρνηση και το Κοινοβούλιο, κυρίες και κύριοι, με ιδιαίτερη χαρά και βαθιά συγκίνηση βρίσκομαι σήμερα στην Ιερισσό, εκπροσωπώντας την Υπουργό Τουρισμού Όλγα Κεφαλογιάννη στο δεύτερο συμπόσιο Following Aristotle. Πρόκειται για μια σύγχρονη πλατφόρμα διαλόγου και ανταλλαγής εμπειριών ανάμεσα σε γειτονικές χώρες, με επίκεντρο την τουριστική ανάπτυξη, τη βιωσιμότητα και την ανάδειξη των κοινών πολιτισμικών στοιχείων της περιοχής μας. Η συγκίνησή μου όμως είναι ακόμη μεγαλύτερη, καθώς λίγα χιλιόμετρα από εδώ βρίσκονται τα Νέα Ρόδα, ο τόπος καταγωγής του πατέρα μου, όπου πέρασα τα παιδικά και τα εφηβικά μου χρόνια και την επισκέπτομαι το χωριό μου όποτε μπορώ. Είναι ένας τόπος που φέρω πάντα μέσα μου, σημείο αναφοράς της δικής μου πορείας και ταυτότητας. Κυρίες και κύριοι, το συμπόσιο αυτό αναδεικνύει μια νέα προσέγγιση για τον τουρισμό στα Βαλκάνια. Μια προσέγγιση που βασίζεται στις κοινές πολιτιστικές μας ρίζες, στον διαπολιτισμικό διάλογο και στην ανάγκη ενίσχυσης της περιφερειακής ταυτότητας με επίκεντρο τον άνθρωπο, τη βιωσιμότητα και την συνεργασία. Στο Υπουργείο Τουρισμού εργαζόμαστε συστηματικά για έναν τουρισμό με ουσία και διάρκεια. Θέτουμε ως προτεραιότητα την ανάδειξη προορισμών που συνδυάζουν φυσική ομορφιά, ιστορική και πολιτιστική αξία, όπως ο Δήμος Αριστοτέλη. Στόχος μας είναι ο επισκέπτης να μην αναζητά απλώς ήλιο και θάλασσα, αλλά εμπειρία, ιστορία, διασύνδεση με την ουσία του τόπου. Στο πλαίσιο αυτό αναβαθμίζουμε τον πολιτιστικό και ιαματικό τουρισμό, αξιοποιώντας χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία και καινοτόμες δράσεις που αναδεικνύουν τις ιδιαίτερες μορφές τουρισμού σε περιοχές με μοναδική γεωγραφική και πολιτιστική ταυτότητα. Ενισχύουμε την συνεργασία με τις χώρες των Βαλκανίων, συμμετέχοντας σε διακρατικά προγράμματα. Σχεδιάζουμε την μελλοντική στρατηγική για τον οδικό τουρισμό με στόχο να αξιοποιήσουμε πλήρως τις αγορές της Βαλκανικής. Η Ρουμανία, για παράδειγμα, αποτελεί μια σταθερά δυναμική πηγή επισκεπτών για την κεντρική και την ανατολική Μακεδονία. Αναζητούμε τρόπους ώστε οι παραμεθόριες περιοχές, αυτές που είναι λιγότερο γνωστές, να μετατραπούν σε ελκυστικούς αυτάρκης προορισμούς και όχι απλώς σημεία διέλευσης. Πέρα από την οικονομική του διάσταση, ο τουρισμός όμως για μας αποτελεί πεδίο διαλόγου και ενίσχυσης των δεσμών με τις γειτονικές μας χώρες. Λειτουργεί ως γέφυρα αμοιβαίας κατανόησης και συλλογικής προόδου για τα Βαλκάνια. Και την ίδια στιγμή αφηγείται ιστορίες, προβάλλει αξίες και φέρνει κοντά ανθρώπους μέσα από κοινές εμπειρίες. Κλείνοντας, θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω από καρδιάς τον Δήμαρχο Αριστοτέλη, τον κύριο Στέλιο Βαλιάνο, που με τιμά με τη φιλία του πάρα πολλά χρόνια, και όλους τους συντελεστές αυτής της εξαιρετικής προσπάθειας. Η πρωτοβουλία σας αποδεικνύει πως ο τουρισμός μπορεί να λειτουργήσει όχι μόνο ως εργαλείο ανάπτυξης, αλλά και ως μέσο καλλιέργειας, ισορροπίας και κοινής πορείας προς το καλύτερο. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Mrs. Katerina Zographou, Vice Governor Chalkidiki Region, will be represented by Anna Basaka, Special Advisor of the Vice Governor. Please.
Κυρίες και κύριοι, καλησπέρα σας. Εκ μέρους της Περιφερειάρχη Κεντρικής Μακεδονίας, της κυρίας Αηδονά, και εκ μέρους της Αντιπεριφερειάρχη Χαλκιδικής, της κυρίας Κατερίνα Ζωγράφου, θα ήθελα να σας καλωσορίσω στον τόπο μας, στην Κεντρική Μακεδονία, τη Χαλκιδική και τον Δήμο Αριστοτέλη. Θα διαβάσω ένα χαιρετισμό εκ μέρους τους στα αγγλικά όμως. Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, friends of Chalkidiki and the wider Balkan region, I welcome you to the opening of the second Aristotelian Symposium. This is not just an event that honors the work of the great philosopher from Sagira, but it also seeks to provide a substantial continuation of his thought, highlighting its all-time influence on contemporary Balkan societies. Aristotle, the founder of logic, ethics, political philosophy, and social sciences, still offers a valuable tool for analyzing and understanding human societies. His work, especially the politics, is not just a philosophical legacy. It constitutes a cornerstone upon which modern political and social ideas about cohesion, solidarity, and progress can be built. It is not a coincidence that this thought was born here in Chalkidiki, a place where nature and freedom converge timelessly. The effort of the municipality of Aristotle to strengthen the Balkan dialogue through Aristotle's thought highlights another important dimension, the possibility of the convergence of the Balkan people through shared values such as cooperation, logic, and democracy. These values are even more critical in our days of complex social, institutional, and geopolitical challenges. In this direction, the regional unity of Chalkidiki embraces and supports initiatives that highlight our cultural heritage, particularly those that revive the timeless wealth of Greek philosophical thought and bring it into the realm of contemporary reflection and the intergovernmental dialogue. Through such initiatives, thematic, philosophical, and road tourism can serve as a powerful developmental tool with a focus on regions like ours, which do not just highlight the past, but dare to propose visions for the future. With these thoughts, I warmly welcome you and wish you every success in the proceedings of the symposium. I'm confident that the conclusions drawn will be a valuable springboard for continuing the dialogue and expanding collaborations among the people of the Balkans. Thank you. Συγχαρητήρια σε όλους τους συντελεστές και ευχόμαστε ολόψυχα καλή επιτυχία στο συμπόσιο.
Mariana, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Although Mr. Iason Fotilas, the Deputy Minister of Greek Tourism, is speaking tomorrow, we would like to have some words in this land between Aristotle and Mount Athos. Thank you.
Good evening to everybody, especially to our distinguished guests from the nearby states. I will speak in Greek. I don't know why. That's the direction I took from the host. Maybe they are saving it for me for my tomorrow's speech. Okay? Καλησπέρα λοιπόν σε όλους. Άννα, Δημήτρη, Κώστα, Χρήστο, Θόδωρε, Δήμαρχέ μου. Πραγματικά είμαι ιδιαίτερα ευτυχής που βρίσκομαι και σήμερα και εγώ εδώ μαζί σας σε αυτό το μοναδικής ομορφιάς τόπο επ' ευκαιρία του δεύτερου συμποσίου με τίτλο Following Aristotle. Να ευχαριστήσω καταρχάς τον Δήμαρχο για την εξαιρετική τιμή που μου έκανε να με καλέσει. Να ευχαριστήσω τον Θόδωρο γιατί υπήρξε ο ενορχιστρωτής της άφιξής μου σήμερα εδώ. Ξέρετε, είναι λέει σήμερα το δεύτερο βήμα του συμποσίου. Λένε ότι το πρώτο βήμα είναι το πιο δύσκολο. Και είναι. Αλλά το δεύτερο βήμα, δηλαδή η δεύτερη διοργάνωση, είναι αυτό που μπορούμε να πούμε ως απαρχή ενός θεσμού. Και όταν λέμε θεσμό είναι αυτό που χρειαζόμαστε σήμερα σε όλα τα επίπεδα. Δηλαδή πρωτοβουλίες και δράσεις οργανωμένα και σχεδιασμένα καλά, αλλά που έχουν όραμα και διάρκεια. Συγχαρητήρια κύριε Δήμαρχε λοιπόν και σε όλους όσους με οποιοδήποτε τρόπο συνεισέφεραν σε αυτή την όμορφη εκδήλωση. Θα τα πούμε αύριο εκτενέστερα. Καλά αποτελέσματα στο συμπόσιο και ραντεβού του χρόνου στο τρίτο συμπόσιο. Να είστε καλά.
So let's continue now. And please welcome Mr. Theodoros Karaoglou, Member of Parliament for Thessaloniki, member of the Greek delegation to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe.
Good evening to everyone. Mr. Mayor, there is a big danger here because the wind is very strong, so I'm afraid that I'll lose my papers and then what I will tell. Okay, let's be careful. Okay. Distinguished friend and host, dear Mayor of Aristotelis, Mr. Stelios Valianos, Your Excellency, former President of the Republic of Bulgaria, dear friend Rosen Plevneliev, dear friends and member of the Greek Parliament, distinguished guests, international delegations, ladies and gentlemen. It is a special honor to me to be among the distinguished guests at the second Aristotelian Symposium, where we discuss about the timelessness of the Stagirite philosopher Aristotle and the reflection of his teaching in the Balkan societies. As a member of the Greek delegation to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, I firmly believe that we must support and reward every initiative that brings our peoples closer, because good and harmonious cooperation leads to the synthesis of forces that de facto constitutes the foundation of the common European path. I would like to congratulate the Mayor of Aristotelis, my good friend Stelios Valianos, because every year he implements corresponding actions that bring us closer together. In this way, he establishes ancient Stagira as a place of meeting and friendship, especially in a period of intense geopolitical tensions and rearrangements, contributing to the creation of a strong front of progress, security and stability in our wider region. Our presence here also emits a powerful symbolism. In an era of extreme rhetoric that is spreading almost across the planet, we are discussing in the birthplace the great thinker who was the embodiment of measure in all aspects of human life. His work is characterized by universality and interdisciplinary nature, because as a precursor of scientists and founder of philosophical thought, Aristotle sought and formulated practical answers to everything. He was a Pan-Hellenic figure of his time, with a catalytic contribution to the systematization of knowledge. He also taught that the quality of democracy is shaped by the ethos of citizens, which dictates that today we proceed based on logic and reality. Two virtues that should distinguish every responsible political act. Politics serves purposes, he had said, adding that politics must be based on moral and cognitive foundations. Thus, his way of thinking became a project of the philosophical world and was fruitfully grafted onto the centuries that followed until today, showing the way for us to reflect who we are, what we can achieve, and what the footprint of our presence in the world should be. An excellent citizen is an active citizen, he wrote in his political texts. Aristotle, however, is constantly relevant for another reason, because he taught citizens to develop relationship of benefit and justice with their fellow men, indirectly constituting the great teacher of Europe, since to him is due to a large extent the modern way of developing thought and the character of our reasoning. I make this point because I believe that the cooperation of states must fool the future, creating an alliance of the true friendship as described by Aristotle, where one supports and helps all the other. Here arises the issue of inter-Balkan cooperation in the same sense that our peoples are influenced by the Aristotelian treatises. Therefore, the cooperation of our states must be a source of inspiration for a safer and better tomorrow. People cannot move forward when they constantly look back. With these thoughts, I wish you success in the second Aristotelian Symposium taking place in ancient Stagira, Chalkidiki, the most important historical site of Chalkidiki, the homeland of Aristotle. Thank you very much for your attention.
Theodoros Karaoglou, Member of Parliament for Thessaloniki, sir. Ignatios Kaitezidis, President of Regional Association of Municipalities Central Macedonia, will be represented by Dimitrios Notas, Mayor of Emmanuel Papas.
Thank you very much. I prefer to speak to my mother language for two reasons. Because my English is awful, is very poor, and the second I thought is more interesting is my mother language is a language to learn me and to teach me the great Aristotle. Αγαπητοί φίλοι, κύριοι Υπουργοί, Mr. President, sorry, κύριοι βουλευτές, φίλε Στέλιο, Δήμαρχε, είναι μεγάλη μου χαρά να βρίσκομαι σήμερα εδώ για να ανοίξω τις εργασίες του δεύτερου συμποσίου ακολουθώντας τον Αριστοτέλη. Θέλω να ευχαριστήσω τον καλό φίλο Δήμαρχο Στέλιο Βαλιάνο για την τιμητική αυτή πρόσκληση. Δυστυχώς, παρά την μεγάλη μου επιθυμία να είμαι δίπλα σας, οι ταυτόχρονες υποχρεώσεις μου στην Ολομέλεια του Συμβουλίου των Δήμων και Περιφερειών της Ευρώπης στις Βρυξέλλες, στην οποία συμμετέχω ως τακτικό μέλος, μου στερούν αυτή τη χαρά. Θέλω απριόρι να συγχαρώ τον συνάδελφό μου για την επιμονή του να στηρίζει πολλά στην ανάπτυξη του τόπου του, στη σκέψη του μεγάλου Έλληνα φιλοσόφου από την Μακεδονία. Βεβαίως, ο Αριστοτέλης είναι μια μορφή παγκόσμια, μια μορφή οικουμενική, κτήμα της παγκόσμιας κληρονομιάς. Ωστόσο, όλοι μπορούμε να αναλογιστούμε τα αισθήματα υπερηφάνειας και μοναδικότητας για τη γενέθλια γη αυτής της παγκόσμιας προσωπικότητας. Θέλω να καλωσορίσω στη γη της Μακεδονίας, στην φιλόξενη Ελλάδα μας, όλους εσάς τους φίλους μας υπουργούς, διπλωμάτες, δημάρχους, τουριστικούς πράκτορες και βεβαίως δημοσιογράφους από την κοινή βαλκανική μας πατρίδα. Στα Στάγυρα, την ιδιαίτερη πατρίδα του μαθητή του Πλάτωνα και δασκάλου του Μεγαλεξάνδρου, του Αριστοτέλη. Σε μια περίοδο ανήσυχη για ολόκληρο τον κόσμο και ταραγμένη κυρίως για τη Μέση Ανατολή, για την ίδια την Ευρώπη με τον πόλεμο Ρωσίας και Ουκρανίας, η μεσότητα του Αριστοτέλη αποτελεί μια οδό ασφαλή για τα σύγχρονα ζητήματα που μοιάζουν περίπλοκα. Σύμφωνα με τον Αριστοτέλη, η μεσότητα είναι το αντίθετο της ακρότητας. Είναι η επιλογή μας να επιλέγουμε τη μέση οδό, απορρίπτοντας τα άκρα, να επιλέγουμε αυτόν τον τρόπο και την αντίστασή μας απέναντι στο φανατισμό των άκρων. Η θεωρία της μεσότητας, που με πάθος υποστήριξε ο μεγάλος Αριστοτέλης, είναι ένα πολύ χρήσιμο εργαλείο για να προσεγγίσουμε όχι μόνο το λίγο ή το πολύ των υλικών αγαθών, αλλά τα ηθικά μας διλήμματα. Για παράδειγμα, στην πολιτική, η μεσότητα του Αριστοτέλη θα έδινε μια σαφή απάντηση στην κατάσταση που διαμορφώνεται σήμερα στον κόσμο, θυμίζοντάς μας ότι τα άκρα δεν μπορεί ποτέ να δίνουν λύσεις στα προβλήματα. Ολοκληρώνοντας αυτόν τον χαιρετισμό του φίλου Προέδρου των Δήμων της Κεντρικής Μακεδονίας, Ιγνάτιο Καϊτετζίδη, λέω λοιπόν ότι η Μακεδονία είναι Ελλάδα και η Ελλάδα είναι η κοιτίδα, το κέντρο και η δύναμη των ιδεών που ενέπνευσαν και συγκίνησαν τον δυτικό τρόπο σκέψης, το δυτικό πολιτισμό. Αυτό δεν πρέπει να το ξεχνάμε ποτέ. Αγαπητοί φίλοι, αξιότιμε κύριε Δήμαρχε, εύχομαι το δεύτερο συμπόσιο ακολουθώντας τον Αριστοτέλη να έχει τη μέγιστη επιτυχία, να συμβάλλει στην ενότητα των λαών και των ηγετών της Βαλκανικής Χερσονήσου, να βάλει ένα λιθαράκι σοφροσύνης και πρόοδου με τις προσεγγίσεις και τις αναγωγές, να συμβάλλει στη βιώσιμη ανάπτυξη του τουρισμού στον Δήμο Αριστοτέλη και όχι μόνο, αλλά και στις δικές σας όλων περιοχές, σύμφωνα με τις ακατάλητες σκέψεις του κορυφαίου Έλληνα Μακεδόνα Σταγερίτη φιλόσοφου του Αριστοτέλη. Συγχαρητήρια στους διοργανωτές για την εξαιρετική διοργάνωση. Καλή επιτυχία στις εργασίες του συμποσίου σας, κύριε Δήμαρχε. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ που είχατε την καλοσύνη να με ακούσετε. Να είστε καλά.
Yannis Koufidis, Regional Councillor, President of Chalkidiki Chamber, will be represented by Giorgos Migdalas, Head of the Touristic Department.
Καλησπέρα σε όλους. Κύριοι Υπουργοί, κυρίες και κύριοι, κύριε Δήμαρχε, κύριοι βουλευτές, Μιγδάλας Γεώργιος ονομάζομαι και ως πρόεδρος του τουριστικού τμήματος του Επιμελητηρίου Χαλκιδικής, μεγάλη μου τιμή και χαρά να εκπροσωπώ τον πρόεδρό μας, τον κύριο Κουφίδη, και αντιπρόεδρο της Κεντρικής Ένωσης Επιμελητηρίων. Αυτό κάνει το Επιμελητήριο, προβάλλει τον τόπο και τις επιχειρήσεις σε έναν πανέμορφο τόπο όπως είναι η Χαλκιδική μας. Ο λόγος θα είναι στα αγγλικά. Dear guests, Your Excellency, let me introduce myself. I'm Giorgos Migdalas, elected member of the Chalkidiki Chamber Board and President of the touristic sector. Today I'm representing the President of Chalkidiki Chamber, Yannis Koufidis, and I will read his speech. I'm deeply honored and proud representing Chalkidiki Chamber as its President, the Union of Hellenic Chamber as Vice President, and as a head of productive entities of the region of Central Macedonia. Congratulations to the Mayor of Aristotelis Municipality, Stelios Valianos, and his great team for this event, but also for their great work promoting the destination and its gastronomy in a very creative and effective way, which Chalkidiki Chamber is generously supporting every year. Thank you all, our distinguished guests from the Balkans, for being here and honoring us with your presence. The place, its energy, history, culture is a message for how modern societies and economies may incorporate eternal values and turn them into a powerful asset for the visitors, the local people, the area and the country, of course. Aristotle is undoubtedly one of the most universal and influential personalities in human history, and we are very proud of him. He was born in Stagira in 384 BC, an ancient famous town in Chalkidiki, in Macedonia. His father Nicomachos was a doctor and associate of King Amindas III, father of Philippos. Although Aristotle went to Athens when he was 17 to study philosophy next to Plato, he returned back to Macedonia after Plato's death, and he was famous and influential personality. The education of Alexander took place in Mieza, near Naousa, a school that was built especially for him. Aristotle introduced Alexander not only philosophy but sciences such as ethics, rhetoric, and the art of governance. Alexander's love for knowledge, rational thinking, and his tendency to discover the unknown have been strongly influenced by his educator. Aristotle was not just a teacher for Alexander. He was a cosmopolitan philosopher who offered him a systematic study of nature, society, and morality, ethics, and helped him shape his view of the world. Aristotle's relationship with Macedonia is not a coincidence. It's a strong bond that shaped him as a person, but but also created history. His inheritance remains even today vital, reminding us the power of knowledge, philosophy, and education as values for shaping our world, not to mention that the philosopher ideas have generally shaped the Western culture and thinking. I want to refer to another phrase stated by Aristotle, who said, "In all things in nature, there is something worthy of admiration," and connect this with our fruitful land Chalkidiki in Macedonia. The place where Aristotle lived and created Macedonia has always been a blessed area. Fertile plains gave farmers the treasures of the earth, who worked hard and produced incessantly through the centuries. Plenty of products, different for every region, and I want to focus on our rich agri-food production that includes treasures such as our local green Chalkidiki olives, a PDO product, and world-renowned our early harvest olive oil, another PDO product, our honey, our apricots, our grains, our grapes for eating or making wine, our rich livestock production that gives great cheeses and healthy meat, our herbs from the woods on the mountains, and of course our fish that come from seas next to the 550 kilometers coastline. As president of Chalkidiki Chamber, I would like to refer to the present and our systematic efforts to connect the primary and secondary sectors with tourism and make our place Chalkidiki a gastronomic destination. A strategy that our chamber has successfully managed since 2021 through our Taste Chalkidiki, our project, and of course through Cuisina, the gastro-touristic project by Aristotelis municipality. Closing my speech, I want to refer to Aristotle's belief about the environment, who said that being against nature is like being against one's self, undermining our own children. In a time that climate crisis is a reality worldwide, sustainable development should guide our efforts for prosperity, balance in nature, society, economy, and of course for peace. Thank you, and welcome to Chalkidiki, Macedonia, the land of Aristotle.
Enterlezi, a popular traditional song for the Roma minority in the Balkans. The song became famous when it was used in the film The Time of the Gypsies by Emir Kusturica with a version of Goran Bregovic, a saxophone for the Balkans by Babis Prodromidis. I invite the Bulgarian delegation. Irina Georgieva, Deputy Minister of Tourism of Bulgaria. Dear President Bernadette, dear Mr. Minister, dear Mr. Mayor, Deputy Ministers, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I am honored to be here today and to discuss both tradition and thoughtful inquiry on a topic that, while rooted in classical philosophy, has striking relevance in our contemporary socio-political context. In his Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle presents the golden mean idea as a guiding principle for ethical behavior. According to his philosophy, virtue exists not in excess or deficiency, but in the balanced center that nurtures character perfection. This concept, which promotes moderation as a key value, provides a useful interpretive framework for analyzing some socio-cultural phenomena in Bulgarian culture, such as the current perception of moderation and its frequent connection with mediocrity. In politics, moderation is the language of governance, of compromise, of inclusive progress. In economics, it is the principle of sustainable development, resisting the temptations of short-term gain for long-term sustainability. In culture, it is the guardian of continuity, protecting the legacy of the past while nurturing the innovation in the future. Moderation, ladies and gentlemen, is not the refuge of the unambitious. It is the fortress of the wise. Let's talk about relevance of moderation vice mediocrity in the tourism industry as a strategic perspective. In the tourism sector, moderation translates into balance between economic growth and environmental preservation, between visitor satisfaction and community well-being, and between innovation and cultural authenticity. Aristotle's philosophy of the golden mean provides a timeless basis for what is today known as sustainable tourism, and this means avoid the excesses of mass tourism that degrade natural and cultural resources, promotes gradual community-based development over rapid extractive expansion, fosters long-term value creation instead of short-term profit maximization. In this sense, moderation becomes a strategic virtue, not a weakness, but a deliberate policy choice that enhances the resilience and prestige of a destination. What about Bulgarian tourism between heritage and globalization? Bulgaria, with its rich cultural heritage, Black Sea coast, Orthodox traditions and diverse natural landscapes, stands at a critical juncture. It means preserve its unique identity while adapting to international expectations, avoid over-commercialization, and dilutes its historical and rural character. Implement policies that favor slow tourism, wellness travel, and heritage experiences, forms of tourism aligned with moderation. In this context, the ethical compass provided by Aristotelian thought offers a framework for redefining tourism, not only as an economic sector, but as a platform for cultural diplomacy, human connection, and long-term nation branding. Ministers, business leaders, and local authorities must embrace moderation not as mediocrity, but as strategic perception, investing in quality over quantity of tourists, encouraging training and excellence in the service sector, enforcing regulations that protect heritage and ecosystems, designing promotional campaigns that highlight authenticity, not artificiality, and last but not least, support the cooperation between us here in the Balkans. In tourism, as in ethics, the golden mean of Aristotle is the path to excellence, measured, sustainable, and enduring. Thank you for your attention. Let's welcome now Rosen Plevneliev, former president of the Bulgarian Republic, honorary citizen of the municipality of Aristotle. Welcome, please.
Exactly. This is exactly what we need to do now. Now, dear ministers, deputy ministers, members of parliament, dear Stelios, my mayor, of my municipality, and of course friends all over the region, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here in front of you being very proud president of my beautiful country, which is right behind me over there in the far. If you look in very good weather, in a very special end of April, beginning of May, from the hill I'm living you could even see some of the Bulgarian mountains and the Olympus mountain, by the way. I'm proud to represent my country, but I'm very proud to represent my municipality. Here is my mayor, here is my boss, and I'm a very proud citizen of this wonderful Dimos Aristotelis since, you wouldn't imagine, 19 years. 2006, I found a place which I call a paradise. As a president, as you know very well, I travel a lot. I visit, I should say, 40-50 countries each and every year. But wherever I go, whatever I do, I just say to myself, thanks God, I live in paradise. And my paradise is Dimos Aristotelis. But even more proud because I represent my country, which actually gives an example to that of Bulgaria and Greece. I want to welcome all the delegations coming from the region. Especially I'm very proud to be a member of that initiative from the very beginning, the initiative of our Mayor Stelios, because it makes a very simple exercise. You want to have tourism, you want to have prosperity, you want to have employment, you want to have peace. Peace is only possible, dear friends. It's only possible when nations, and especially on the Balkans, come together, when they think beyond borders, when they bring borders down, they move beyond borders, don't shift borders. Peace is only possible when cultures, businesses, people, they just come together. And that is exactly what this initiative is all about. And that's why I'm very proud to be from the very beginning. And we are very ambitious. We're going to do more. We're thinking about the world, what is going on today, and we should understand that whatever happens in the world, it has a very simple explanation, and it is in the wisdom of Aristotle. It's very simple. You want to live in peace, but peace is only possible when you have rules and institutions for peace. Peace is only possible when human rights, civil society is respected. And that's exactly what Aristotle was talking about. We want to live in democracy, but democracy is only possible if you have active citizens who care, who come together in effort to improve. Democracy is only possible if you have active civil society, and that's exactly what Aristotle was preaching for. We want to have prosperity. Prosperity is built on leadership that does not divide, but bring people together, that integrates people. Leaders who understand it's not just about winning against somebody else. Leaders who understand that the success of a leader is not to have a high rating, to bomb, to defeat somebody. The success of a leader, I quote Aristoteles, is the success of ordinary people. And that is why I preach and pray that we will have more leaders today in the world, that they understand that their mission is mostly the moral. A president, a prime minister, a leader who understands that he has to be a moral compass. He has to educate people. And only then we will have peace. Only then we will have the good life we're asking for, because we will build up. And here, my last point, sitting here in a place which I call paradise. Dear friends, just look around and you will see how much God and nature gave to this wonderful place. But the very simple question to all of us is, do we build up what we inherited from our fathers, what we inherited from God and nature? Are we making things better? And the very simple answer to that is, he and Dimos Aristotelis, I witnessed since 19 years. Yes, we do. We are improving. We are working hard. We are welcoming more and more investments, more and more people. We are modernizing. And that is why we're so proud. And the most important lesson to all of us is that the vision of Thessaloniki, we should never forget. We have delegations, Serbia, Montenegro, Croatia, Bulgaria, some other countries from the region. The vision of Thessaloniki was the vision that each and every country in the Balkans is important and has the vision to become a European Union member. Each and every country should be integrated into the Schengen area. And as I jumped today in the car and without any stop, I moved through the border, I said to myself, a dream again has come true. And I promise to you that we will have more Bulgarians this year. We will breaking a new record. We will have more investments. We will having more and more and more together, as we have a lot of investments from Greece to my country, and we come together as people, as human beings. That's exactly what Aristoteles was asking us to do. To build up the wisdom from the past. To give up to the next generation their lessons. And those lessons are only linked to our understanding that success is a joint effort. I dream about the Balkans being a wonderful and integrated part of Europe, being so beautiful as this place is, and being so peaceful as this place is. And I dream about leaders in the Balkans that understand Aristoteles in the right way. Unite, don't divide, be a moral compass, educate. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Thank you.
Because you are an ordinary citizen of our municipality.
Anton Makarov, Consul General of Bulgaria in Thessaloniki, will be represented by the Chancellor Todor Petrov. Please.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, deputy ministers, distinguished members of parliament, Your Excellency, first of all, allow me to thank Mr. Plevneliev for this inspiring speech. I am honored to be here today and to present to you the Bulgarian perspective on key elements of the Bulgaria's cooperation with Greece, as well as to touch upon the leading theme of the symposium. The work of Aristotle shows the deep significance of the political common good, and that acting morally requires a robust notion of the common good. Aristotle would remind us the fundamental purpose of the political community, the achievement of the common good. He reminds us that pursuing the political common good is a choice-worthy and perhaps the most choice-worthy end. Here on the Balkans, each country has its own perception of history. I would say that, in my opinion, the most important lessons from our shared history between Greece and Bulgaria are that after centuries of rivalries and contradictions, we have finally realized that cooperation is a much better option than wars. Today, Greece and Bulgaria are strategic partners, building a strong axis of stability and security, thus offering much better opportunities and prospects for the entire region. The relations between Bulgaria and Greece as EU member states and NATO allies represent an axis of stability and shared values in our challenging regional context. In Greece, Bulgaria sees a close and strategic partner in the region. This partnership spans across numerous fields of cooperation, ranging from foreign affairs and regional security, energy and transport, digital connectivity and infrastructure, even in joint management of ports. The implementation of strategic transport infrastructure, such as bilateral C2C, trilateral multimodal corridor, North-South Bulgaria, Greece, Romania, is of key importance not only for Bulgaria and Greece, but also for the entire region. We are grateful to Greece for its consistent support to our membership and full integration into the Schengen area. We should seize this opportunity to decisively speed up the opening of the Rodozen-Xanthi border crossing checkpoint. The global challenges proved that the mutual beneficial energy cooperation between Bulgaria and Greece is of strategic importance not only for our two countries, but for the whole region and the European Union. In the context of our efforts to diversify energy sources and routes, Bulgaria is interested in exploring the possibilities for the construction of an oil pipeline from Alexandroupolis to Burgas. The main purpose of such a pipeline should be to secure supply of crude oil from non-Russian sources. After the launch of the commercial operations of the LNG terminal in Alexandroupolis, we are also interested in the realization of the Thrace LNG terminal project. Our vision for the Western Balkans' future has not changed through the years, and Bulgaria is adamant that the integration of the EU is the only viable path to the peace and prosperity of the region. We acknowledge that the new geopolitical reality has underlined the role of the EU enlargement policy for consolidating the European space of security, stability and prosperity. However, acceleration of the integration processes cannot and should not be at the expense of the principle of own merits, which remains the cornerstone of the EU enlargement policy. Thank you for your attention.
Let's welcome now Tanya Yantseva, Chairwoman of Municipal Council of Charevo Municipality.
Уважаеми господин президент Плевнелиев, уважаеми господин кмет на община Аристотеле, уважаеми министри, уважаеми кметове, посланици, дами и господа.
Dear Mr. President, dear Mayor of Aristotle, dear ministers, dear mayors, ladies and gentlemen.
Благодарим за поканата на община Аристотел от мое име и от името на кмета на община Царево господин Марин Киров, който за съжаление на правителствена делегация в Америка не може да присъства.
Thank you for the invitation of Municipality Aristotle on my behalf and on behalf of our Mayor of Municipality Tsarevo, Marin Kirov, who is sending you greetings, but unfortunately is on government delegation in America and cannot attend.
И следвайки примерите на ораторите от древна Елада, които за да кажат най-важното и най-същественото, са имали право да говорят толкова време, колкото могат да издържат да стоят на един крак, предлагам да не губим време в преводи и моят сътрудник госпожа Невена Стоянова ще ви прочете, читаме на английски. Благодаря.
And following the example of the orators in ancient Elada, who in order to say the most important and essential things had the right to speak for as long as they could stand on one leg, I suggest we do not waste time on translations, and my assistant Nevena Stoyanova will read my speech to you. It is an honor and privilege for us, the municipality Tsarevo, to be part of the second following Aristotle Symposium. Tsarevo municipality is the most beautiful and impressive seaside municipality in Bulgaria. It combines the beauty of nature, sea and mountains, rich cultural heritage and economic potential. From the golden sands of the sea beaches to the centuries-old forests of mystical Stranja, from historical treasures to modern tourist services. Tsarevo stands out with its natural reserves, the protected designation of origin for Stranja Mana honey, granted by the European Commission, and the authentic Nestinarstvo fire dancing ritual included in UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List in 2009. Like Aristotle's ideal polis, Tsarevo balances its internal resources with external connections to grow. From the beaches of Sinemorets to the fire dances in Bulgaria, Tsarevo is a place that fascinates hearts, and its transport connectivity ensures that this magic is accessible to everyone. With strategic investments and a focus of maintaining its authenticity, Tsarevo is becoming a model of sustainable progress inspired by Aristotle's wisdom. To fulfill its potential and illustrate the balance Aristotle spoke of, city networks of regional and international levels are both important and significant. The city networks associated with Aristotle's Stagira, Athens, Pella, Assos, Lesbos, and Halkida are critical for his development as a philosopher and for the spread of his ideas. These cities provide the intellectual, political, cultural context that shaped his work from empirical science to political theory. Their interconnectedness ensures that Aristotle's philosophy not only prospered during his lifetime but also influenced Western thought for centuries, from the Hellenic period to the present. City networks are crucial for promoting cooperation, innovation, and sustainability among urban centers. They enable cities to share resources, knowledge, and best practices, and to address global challenges such as climate change, economic inequality, and public health. Connecting cities through these networks amplifies their collective influence on the international policies and attract investments. Economically, city networks stimulate marketing, tourism, and infrastructure development, creating interconnected centers of growth. Socially, they promote cultural exchange and inclusive governance, enhancing the quality of life in city. They also encourage education aligned with the needs of local businesses and environments. Very important for successful partnership and the convergence of our municipality is the sharing of good practices and innovative solutions, effective policies for smart city planning, green systems and decisions, waste management, and the implementation of joint projects to facilitate marketing, tourism, knowledge exchange, and community involvement and commitment. Without networks, cities risk isolation, missing opportunities for adaptation amid rapid urbanization and global changes. We, the local governments, as guarantors of community development, have a duty to build connections between cities and to work on improving cooperation, which is critical for regional stability, economic growth, social development, and our prosperity. With respect, Tanya Yancheva, Chairman of the Municipal Council Tsarevo.
We are here with the municipality of Tsarevo because you have to know that we are a network. 2 years ago, because of Rosen, we are a network on the topics of wine exchanges, and we agree to sign a new MOU with a new mayor in order to develop a better cooperation.
Let's welcome now Ivailo Simeonov, Mayor of Elin-Pelin.
Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, Municipality of Aristotle, I want to back a little to the time when I first visited Municipality of Aristotle on my way to Mount Athos. I was impressed by the scenes of beauty and tranquility. I also remember the first photo that we took with my friends and fellow citizens from Elin-Pelin in Stratoni. Since then, it has become a tradition. The years pass, people change, but the feeling of eternity of everything around here is quite real. During our meeting with His Excellency Mr. Marius Liberopoulos at the Embassy of the Hellenic Republic in Sofia, I told him that it was extremely important for me to start a dialogue with the mayor of the municipality of Aristotle, because that is where the path of spirituality passes. And this spirituality has merged with nature in the most blessed combination, the worship of everything that God has given to this land from ancient times to the present day. It was a real pleasure for me to learn that Mr. Stelianos Valianos accepted my invitation for friendship. And here, today, with the signing of the Memorandum of Cooperation between our two municipalities, during the second following Aristotle Symposium, we are laying the foundation of mutual understanding and partnership, which I am sure will be developed into friendship. Why am I so sure? Because this friendship will be untied with the strongest bond between people, the strong faith that we also teach our children. We proudly call Elin-Pelin the municipality of children. At the beginning of my first term as mayor, I set public policies related to children as the cornerstone of my governance. Everything we do, including the impressive pace of economic development of our municipality, is subordinated to one unlimited goal: our children to grow up healthy, educated, cared for, and to be believers. And may there be many of them. The demographic victory that we achieved for Elin-Pelin to be among the municipalities in Bulgaria with positive population growth is due to our efforts of my teams to create an environment that presupposes of family, peace and comfort. With the signing of the Memorandum of Cooperation between the municipality of Elin-Pelin and the municipality of Aristotle, I and the mayor, Mr. Stelianos Valianos, have the unique opportunity to lay the foundation of cooperation not only at the administrative level, but also of cooperation that will be passed on through the children of Elin-Pelin and Aristotle from generation to generation. My dream is for our children to get to know each other's culture, history, tradition and values. Elin-Pelin is the center of Bulgarian Shupuk, a unique ethnographic region. And Greek music is very well known and loved in our country. So I am convinced that through dance, music and culture, our children will find a way to each other. In this regard, with the support of His Excellency Mr. Marios Liberopoulos, we plan to start teaching Greek in the municipality of Elin-Pelin from the beginning of the new school year, as this is sufficiently contribute to facilitating dialogue and interest among children. The brilliant mind of the great Aristotle defined what we strive for: eudaimonia, or happiness in accordance with virtues that make us more empathetic and cooperative. In time of extreme views and action, I am convinced that by working together we can develop in children virtues that will keep them in the golden mean, such as benevolence, temperance, generosity, patience and justice. The list is not exhaustive. Aristotle believes that with effort, time and encouragement, any person can acquire these virtues and achieve eudaimonia. I also believe that with our joint efforts at the institutional level, through the culture and education, we can encourage the children of municipality of Aristotle and municipality of Elin-Pelin to use their time for activities that develop these virtues and that make them happy. The future depends on us, and it is to work together. Αγαπώ τη Βουλγαρία, αγαπώ και την Ελλάδα. Σας ευχαριστώ για τη φιλοξενία σας. Thank you very much.
So now, Mr. Simeonov and Mr. Valianos, please proceed to sign the Memorandum of Cooperation.
Counts the time. Thank you.
Remix of two songs from Bulgaria and Greece, but they have the same melody but different lyrics. Song from Bulgaria, Yanka Rupkina and Ilya Lukov, titled A Clear Moon is Already Rising. The Greek Asia Minor song from a foreign land remix by Medas Descendas. A saxophone from Bulgaria by Babis Prodromidis.
Sveći zgrjava na
Babis. We now welcome the Serbian delegation, Mr. Stanko Blakojevic, Deputy Minister of Culture, Serbia.
Okay, I hope this works nice now. Your Honor, Mr. Mayor, Your Excellency, Mr. President, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a pleasure and an honor to be here. It's not just a phrase, because first of all, of course, it's very important for me to represent the Ministry of Culture here today with this vast and enormous potentials, basically, in cooperating together. On the other hand, I personally am a philosopher by vocation, so I will use this opportunity to thank all the predecessors who spoke, and hope that the ones that will come after me will speak indeed on, again, on cooperation and on commerce and tourism, and leave me be and use this opportunity to speak about Aristotle, if I may. I will not give a lecture. I will just make a few brief remarks, hoping that these remarks will indeed hit upon the point that I'm trying to make. So first of all, I mean, trying to walk and to follow in Aristotle's footsteps, as the topic has it, we can look at the legacy of Aristotle as a foundation of our contemporary politics and societies, and on the other hand, as a way of understanding of our world. But leaving that aside, however we look at Aristotle's legacy, we must recognize that we have to differentiate between what remains the same for Aristotle and for us nowadays, and what is different completely or for part. What is the same would be the understanding of a virtue, in the sense that this is a state, a virtue is a state of soul or of a man, that enables us to fulfill our most inner and essential purpose. Whether it be an ox, an orange tree, or a man, it has a purpose that it has to fulfill. And the virtue is what enables it to fulfill the purpose. That was like that for Aristotle, it's like that for us now. However, the context is completely different. For Aristotle, you have one virtue. There are different virtues, but the notion, the concept of virtue is one. For us, contemporary people, at least from 16th century on, starting with Machiavelli, public virtue and private virtues are different. We do not perceive them the same. Sometimes they differ, and sometimes just completely opposite. But however it may be, they're different. And now we can ignore it and say, well, Aristotle's right and we're wrong, or the other way around. But we can try and understand why did Aristotle see the virtues as one and we differentiate? Well, at least in my analysis, and what I would like to offer, is that Aristotle sees some things as presupposed, self-evident. He does not discuss them. And this is about how the polis should and must live. And these issues, which he found self-evident, are now our goals that we still have to achieve. And just in conclusion, let me read just one of his sentences from Aristotle, from the Ethics of Nicomach. A man is temperate if he abstains from bodily pleasures. I mean, this is basically how we see it, by Stoicism and Christianity and so on. But he adds, and finds this abstinence itself enjoyable. How can you enjoy the abstinence? Well, by ruling yourself, by governing yourself. This is the biggest pleasure. And profligate if he feels it irksome. He's brave, this man, if he faces danger with pleasure, or at all events without pain. So, I mean, in conclusion, the essence of the virtue would be to govern yourself and by governing yourself to govern the circumstances that surround you. So this would be same for Aristotle then and for us now. And this is true also to make the connection which this title addresses me with Serbian society. For virtue to be one, for person, for polis, for state, for humanity, one must achieve what Aristotle saw as self-evident, and we have to achieve it. Sovereignty, freedom, autonomy, and to make realized or real what he presupposed and thought self-evident. Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, we are drinking a glass of rosé wine from Hilandar Monastery, produced by the monks in Mount Athos. You can enjoy it.
Let's welcome Nikola Nedeljković, Ambassador of Serbia in Greece.
Good evening, καλησπέρα σε όλους. I would like, first of all, to extend my warm greetings on behalf of the Embassy of the Republic of Serbia in Athens and my own. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our hosts who have welcomed us here in this beautiful place and give me the lifetime opportunity to speak about Aristotle and his birthplace, basically. My subject is city diplomacy according to Aristotle. And when we speak about Aristotle and his view of intercity relations, we are not speaking just about philosophy, but we are speaking about one vision of the world that he had, that was shaped by life. And he has described it in his most famous work, his Ethics, who has dedicated to his son Nicomachus. When we speak about Aristotle, we need to understand his time. That's 4th century before Christ, and we have like main person from that period, like most famous Greek philosophers. One is Socrates, Plato, and of course Aristotle himself. Socrates never traveled. He stayed all his life in Athens. He probably went in few battles around the Athens, but basically he stayed all his life in Athens, and he hated other cities or other people at some level. That's why when he was offered to save his life and to go to live in another city, he declined it, and he rather chose death than to go to other city. His student, Platon, he was a little bit different. He didn't travel a lot, but he traveled sometimes. We know he went to Egypt, we know he went to Sicily, to Italy, Magna Graecia, and he had some experience with other cities. Aristotle, on the other hand, was completely different. He was born here, he went 700 kilometers to Athens, he lived there, he lived in the court of the Philip, he was teacher of Alexander, and I truly believe, and Orthodox Church also believes, he was divinely inspired with his teachings. Aristotle taught Alexander the Great everything about the intercity diplomacy and about the making the world and the cosmos in a different state than it was before. Before Aristotle, like Socrates and Plato, they didn't have idea of whole world. The city was everything. But since Aristotle, and that was implemented by Alexander, the world has become a bigger place. Alexander is the best student of Aristotle. He has established many cities. 10 cities were named after him. Some of them survived till today, and some didn't. He made infrastructure between cities. But he didn't believe just in the superficial relations between cities. He wanted something deeper. He wanted people to move. He obliged his soldiers to stay in the cities, to marry with local people, to learn the languages, music like we had here today that was like known to everybody, and culture and kitchen and all aspects of life were interconnected in one way with Aristotle. The Saint Basil the Great, the Orthodox saint, believes that God has prepared the world for coming of Christ in three ways. One is the Bible, second one is the science, and third one was the teaching of great Greek philosophers. This was also depicted and understood in Middle Ages. Not far from here is the Megisti Lavra, is the big Lavra monastery, where is the icon of Aristotle. He's depicted in the line of the Christ. It's called the genealogy of the Christ. Of course, they knew that Aristotle had nothing to do with biological ancestor of Christ, but as a person, as a leader or as a philosopher, he prepared the world for coming of the Christ. That's why they depicted him here. Also, in Serbian lands, not far from here, in Kosovo, in Prizren, in Bogorodica Ljeviška monastery, we also have depiction of Greek philosophers in the line of Christ, like along with Moses, Abraham, and other biblical figures. Also, in today's Macedonia, Serbian monastery of Lesnovo, in 14th century was also depicted Aristotle as one of the ancestors of Christ, because his teaching of the one bigger world, of the fraternity among the people, cooperation, understanding, and all the virtues that we have today and we cherish as our the common Mediterranean civilization, were inspired by him. That's why his teaching is still relevant today. And we should invest more time and money, of course, in teachings of Aristotle, and I hope it's going to be the path. I was also very happy when I learned that a few days ago the new Pope was elected, and not accidentally he took the name of Leo. That was the Pope who restored the teaching of Aristotle to the Catholic Church like 100 years ago. So there is a hope that Aristotle is going to be with us in the future for many years. Thank you very much for your attention.
Little bit more of the coast. We are reaching to the end.
Okay, so let's welcome now Jelena Obrandovic, Consul General of Serbia in Thessaloniki.
Καλησπέρα σας. Ευχαριστώ, Maria Papa. Mr. Stelios, he underlines for you. Please. Good evening, dear Serbian friends. Will you allow me to speak the delegation of the Republic of Serbia for 1 minute in Serbian language? Thank you. Poštovani predstavnici ministarstva, gospodine Stanko Blagojeviću iz Ministarstva kulture, uvaženi predstavnici ambasade Republike Srbije u izaslanstvu ambasadora Republike Srbije gospodina Nikole Nedeljkovića, gospodine Mačkoviću, poštovani predstavnici manastira Hilandar, gospodine Aleksandre Pavloviću ispred konzulata Republike Srbije u Tesalonikiju, Solunu, poštovani predstavnici grada Leskovca. Kao generalni konzul i domaćin na ovom jurisdikcionom području, gde i opština Aristotelis pripada, generalnom konzulatu Republike Srbije. Za mene je velika čast da danas jedinstveno i zajedno u izaslanstvu predsjednika Republike Srbije, gospodina Aleksandra Vučića i Vlade Republike Srbije, jedinstveno i zajedno predstavljamo svoju zemlju. Zaista je velika čast, ponos i dostojanstvo. Hvala vam. Thank you very much. Dear honorable guests, to begin with, I would like to extend my warm greetings to all of you and express my sincere gratitude to the host of Municipality of Aristoteles for organizing this event and for their appreciation of the Republic of Serbia. I would also like to warmly greet your excellencies, ministers, Major, and all of STEM's representatives and delegations. Thank you for your presence here today. Okay. We are deeply grateful of the Republic of Greece for its continued support on principled stance of the issues of Kosovo, recognizing the hardship endured of the Serbian people in Kosovo and Metohija. Serbia values our shared history and sincerely appreciates Greece's unwavering position even in the face of political pressures. This evening is a chance to look back on a year of strong and friendly relations between Serbia and Greece, based on our shared history and growing cooperation in many years. We are especially hope that around 1 million Serbian tourists visited Greece last year. Many in the area converted by our consulate and that they feel welcome to see Greek and friends. Our good relations are also seen in support for Serbia schools, their treatments on our citizens in Greece, cultural exchange and many meetings between our two countries. The Consulate General of Serbia in Thessaloniki maintains strong cooperation with Greek ministers, regional and local authorities, and various organizations, and we sincerely thank their various representatives for their continued support. This collaboration reflects the deep friendship and shared history between our nations, as well as a clear common goal: to strengthen our ties, especially toward economic cooperation for the benefit of future generations within the framework of the European Union. I would like to say a few words about big Serbian projects, Expo 2027. Expo 2027 in Belgrade is a major national project that will bring significant economical growth, new infrastructure, increased employment, and position Serbia as a key regional center for innovation, cultural and development. With over 4 million expected visitors and participation from around 120 countries, the exhibition offers a unique opportunity to showcase Serbia's potential for the world, while the consulate remains open and ready to support cooperation, exchange, and share success. Lastly, I would like to thank you who joined us at this event and express hope that this marks the beginning to even closer collaboration in culture, education, tourism, and beyond. Enjoy this special moment, dear friends, and thank you.
Goran Zvetanovich, mayor of Leskovac, will be represented by the deputy mayor of Leskovac, Lydia Dimitrievich.
I have to tell you that we are network with the municipality of Leskovac. We did it 2 or 3 years ago, okay? And the topics of history, culture, and pilgrimage exchanges. I'm sorry.
Thank you, dear Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to emphasize how satisfied I feel about the fact that the city of Leskovac, the municipality of Aristotle, and municipal community of Yerissos have formed a long-term successful friendship and cooperation which will last for a long time. To my great honor, this is the second time we are taking part in the symposium dedicated to Aristotle, one of the most influential figures in the history of European thought. We are proud of the fact that Serbia and Greece have a long-lasting friendship, which in its sense, as Aristotle said, stands for partnership. These partnership links have been future reinforced thanks to the twinning of Leskovac and Yerissos. This was a significant step toward the strengthening of mutual connection and cooperation, not only in the field of spirituality, but also in a term of culture and economy. I would like to focus our attention on the existential meaning of friendship, which can also be seen as a synonym for a bless. In poverty of other misfortunes of fate, men think that friends are the only refuge. It is in these words that we can recognize existential significance of friendship, which is often reflected in the compassion. Only to think that we can relay a friend, seek comfort and support significantly eases our feeling of hopelessness. I believe that our 2 local governments have formed such a bond, and by expanding into other areas, we have improved the cooperation in the fields of tourism, culture, and economic development. Joint projects and activities that we will be implementing will improve the events in our communities and, more importantly, reinforce our friendly relations. Lastly, I will also mention the immediate vicinity of Myotatos and point out that it is extremely important to cherish the values that symbolize the holy place: faith, spirituality, perseverance, and brotherhood. These values are the foundation of which we can build a better future for all of us. I would like to thank everyone who contributes to make these bonds stronger, in addition to preserving and developing our culture and spiritual heritage. May this be a reminder of the importance of spirituality in our lives and in our obligation to preserve and pass these values into the future generation. Thank you.
A song which highlights the bonds that the Balkan states have of common religion and orthodoxy. Life is a grave, with a soprano saxophone, is mixed with psalms in Serbian and Greek. Divna Ljubojevic and Nektaria Karadzic in psalms parts. A saxophone for Serbia by Babis Prodromidis. Let's continue with the Republic of Srpska, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Denis Sulik, Minister of Tourism of Republic of Srpska, Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Dear Mayor, dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely pleased to have opportunity to be part of this event and present to you the Republic of Srpska and all of our country and our people. The ties between Republic of Srpska and Greece are strong and have lasted for centuries, not only through cultural, historical, religious and economic context, but also through the tradition and value that Greek philosophy was woven into the foundation of Balkan and European society. Over the century, in the race of modernization, society has adopted, changed and transformed. But no matter how great those changes are, the role laid down ancient thinkers and philosophers as well as values of the era remain an unchanging part of the fundamentals of every society. Throughout history, much has changed and often some areas and themes have been rejected and neglected, but everything relied to ancient Greece and its values to remain intact, and that is precisely where we must see the value of it. One of the greatest contributions of the Golden Age, we can freely say, was the idea of the golden mean. Aristotle's measure and mediocrity as a golden fundamental value of the state and society, but also of man in his essence. Mediocrity, or better said, modernization, is a measure that leads to the development of both the individual and society, and the state in this age of extreme exaggeration is everything. It was disorganization, the individual from mass, modernization as a mean between a little and much, and as weight on the scala between quality and quantity, is initiator of many processes and seal of many values. Modernization as a middle ground, as a meeting point of two extremes, is what I dare say perhaps the best describe what is the Republic of Srpska. The Republic of Srpska is located at the crossroads of the Balkan and Europe, as a place where East and West met, and where culture, religions, and empires have met and mixed throughout history. Even today we have monuments. One of the most beautiful, our bridge on the Drina River, which also found its place in the work of Nobel laureate Ivo Andrić, who himself was an example of Aristotle's wisdom and modernization in life and work. Today the bridge in Visegrad stands as a monument near which every tourist stops to hear the story of his founder, Mehmed Pasha Sokolović, but also Ivo Andrić, in whose honor we built the city of Andrićgrad near the bridge. The Republic of Srpska is full of similar monuments and places that are witness to the meeting of culture and everything that has been a part of these areas over time. The Republic of Srpska is a country. They respect everyone and everything. They bring with their arrival, but never at the cost of destroying and dismissing who we are. I invite you to be our guest and travel together through the most beautiful parts of the Republic of Srpska and see for yourself all similarities between our people, between our countries, between our cultures. See you in the Republic of Srpska. Thank you very much.
Let's welcome now Jelena Jovanovic, Head of Republic of Srpska, Bosnia and Herzegovina Office in Thessaloniki.
Ευχαριστώ σε όλους, καλησπέρα. Λίγο κρυώσαμε, αλλά εντάξει, πώς είχαμε και το τρασάκι μας από το Λαντάρι, θα δεσταθούμε. Τώρα θα μιλήσουμε, όπως είπαμε, και στα αγγλικά. I will speak, as we said, in English language, and my topic today will be Banja Luka and Aristotle Municipality. Distinguished guests, organizers, esteemed guests, dear friends, and dear mayor. It's a great honor for me to speak today at gathering where ancient thought and modern dialogue build bridges. When we speak of networking between Banja Luka and the municipality of Aristotle, we are not merely referring to geography or formal ties. We are speaking of a fusion of identities, values, and vision. Banja Luka, the heart of Republic of Srpska and city of universities, science, and culture. The municipality of Aristotle, a cradle of history, home of the great teacher of humanity, Aristotle. At first glance, space and centuries separate us, but what unites us runs deeper, a shared aspiration of knowledge, the exchange of ideas, and the development of our communities. Last year, this aspiration was given a formal framework. An agreement of cooperation was signed between Banja Luka and the municipality of Aristotle. This agreement is not merely an administrative document. It is, in essence, a bridge between the past, the present, and the future of our communities. It is a roadmap toward a collaboration that holds the potential to shape the generations to come. Networking, dear friends, is not just a technical term. It is a modern version of the ancient philoxenia, hospitality not only of the body, but also of the mind and of spirit. Our universities, cultural institutions, and young people are already laying the foundations of this cooperation. Right now, there are 9 Greek corners in Srpska, where our youth is learning Greek language, while in Thessaloniki, we also organize free classes of Serbian. These steps are not merely symbolic gestures. They reflect a shared will to transcend boundaries, not only national borders, but also the limits of habit, prejudice, and obstacles that often hinder collaboration. The long-standing Greek-Serbian friendship further strengthens this cooperation. Our two countries, our people, are connected by history, shared values, and mutual support in both challenging and glorious times. Aristotle taught us that man is zoon politikon, a political being, a being of community. But Aristotle, a community is not merely a collection of individuals living in proximity. It is a space where people strive together for the greater good, where knowledge, justice, and friendship are not just ideal on paper, but the practice of everyday life. Our community now transcends borders and nations. It has become a network of people committed to understanding, innovation, and friendship. Thus today, we are not merely speaking of protocol, of formalities. We are speaking of a vision in which Banja Luka and the municipality of Aristotle become an example of how the past and the future can not only meet, but also collaborate. Just as our ancestors walked together to the challenges of history, so too shall we walk together into the future. Thank you.
I have to tell you that Elena spoke about Banja Luka because the municipality of Aristotle is networked with the municipality of Banja Luka. We did it 1 year ago and we believe in it. Thank you.
A song sung by Haris Alexiou to music by the famous composer Goran Bregovic, who was born in Sarajevo, Bosnia, where he lived and grew up, to a Croatian father and a Serbian mother. A saxophone for Republic of Srpska, Bosnia and Herzegovina by Babis Prodromidis. We now invite the Greek delegation again for the closing of the day. So please welcome Dimitris Kouvelas, Member of Greek Parliament Thessaloniki, Vice Chairman of the Committee on Educational Affairs of the Hellenic Republic.
Deputy Ministers, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor and joy for me to be with you in Ierissos, invited by the excellent Mayor of Aristotelis and my very good friend Stelios Valianos to participate in the second International Symposium following Aristotle, the Great Macedonian, the Great Greek. This year's discussion is not merely a philosophical exploration. It's an invitation to individual and collective introspection, a chance to reflect on how we can and must govern, lead, and coexist. As member of the Greek Parliament from Thessaloniki, a city with a strong historical and political identity, I would like to focus on two concepts at the heart of Aristotelian thought: the city and the citizen. Aristotle teaches that the city exists by nature and that man is by nature a political animal, a political being. We cannot exist, develop, or reach fulfillment outside the framework of community. A city is not merely a geographical space, it's moral and political arena, a place with virtue, justice, and dialogue, shared responsibility that are exercised daily. In this context, a citizen is not simply a resident. A citizen is someone who actively participates both in shaping and implementing the decisions that define our collective life. He's a participant, not a spectator. He's accountable and not just passive. Equally significant is the concept of the doctrine of mediocrity, which Aristotle analyzed in the Nicomachean Ethics. the choice of the appropriate action, the right measure between two extremes. It's not just a compromise or passivity, but it's an expression of wisdom, discernment, and virtue. The mediocrity, as Aristotle understood it, it is something static, one could say, but this is not true. It is a continuous pursuit of right action. And this idea, 2,500 years after his death, still serves as a model and a compass for modern politicians and political practice. Because politics is precisely that, the art of doing the right thing at the right time, in the right way, and above all, for the right purpose. And mediocrity is certainly the courage to listen to the people, the ethos to resist populism, exaggeration, and arbitrariness. It is the tool that allows the modern politician to stand with responsibility before society and the citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the Balkans are a field of ideas, cultures, and philosophy. And Aristotle is not only a Greek philosopher, but he's a global beacon, a pharos of thought. In a time when tension, speed, excess, and extremes often dominate, Aristotle's doctrine of mediocrity reminds us of the value of balance, reflection, and ethics. It offers us a model of politics and life based not on power, but on prudence, not on display, but on substance. Last but not least, I think we all agree that Aristotle of the 4th century BC still compels us today to reflect with responsibility and courage on what kind of city we want and what kind of citizens we want to be. Thank you very much for the invitation. Congratulations for this year's symposium, and see you next year with our Romanian friends together. Stelios. And we all stand for Caterina. We expect her, she's going to be the last.
So please, let's welcome now the last but not least. So, Katerina Tsapikidou, International Relations, Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you to everybody, and a special thanks to Dimitris for forcing you to listen to me. So, thank you. It's such an honor to be here to talk about Aristotle and his politics and his concept of citizenship. So I would like to start with some introductory comments that set the framework about him and his thinking. So we're not talking today about an ordinary thinker. In fact, it surprises us that it's really remarkable that we are talking today in 2025 about works and ideas that were uttered almost 2,500 years ago. So this is something remarkably consistent and something remarkable, period, about Aristotle. It's not a coincidence that in antiquity he had a nickname, nous, the mind. So really, we are talking about a brilliant mind here. And in order to do justice to Aristotle, we have to keep in mind two things. That firstly, before passing judgment, we should first understand him the way he understood himself. And in other words, and this is a fancy way of saying Aristotle's work, may be very useful and relevant today, but it was written not for today's society or in today's society. He is writing about and in a different era. And in order to be fair to him, we have to take that into account. So yes, he's relevant. Yes, he talks to us today. We can still learn from him, but to be fair, he's writing in a different society. And I will explain that later on. So the other thing, and that is a puzzle actually, is that Aristotle talks about politics in its very original sense. So what happens and what transpires in a polis. He is not talking about something bigger than the city-state of ancient Greece. The puzzle is that he's writing all his wonderful thoughts while the Macedonian Empire is expanding. So he's writing about politics in the original sense, while the polis is being transformed. And I don't think I have an answer, but it's something to keep in mind. So finally, something that has to be admitted. So you can talk about Aristoteles for hours, years, your whole lifetime, but I only have a few minutes because I'm standing between you and dinner, so I will sum up. I think when we talk about Aristotle's idea of the concept of politics, what is most important are two specific claims that he makes, and they are related. So, the first one is that man, and of course in today's world we have to incorporate woman, is a political animal, like my predecessor, my dear friend Dimitri said. That is of a revolutionary importance. And when he says political, he means that in the original sense of the word. So what Aristotle says is that you're not a human being if you live alone, or in a remote village, or in a countryside, or as a monk. He is not refusing or refuting your human nature. One has to be in a polis. Otherwise, he cannot fully benefit or live what is of the essence of human nature. So, to be a citizenship in a polis is to actualize the full potential of human nature. The other thing that Aristotle understood very well, and I think that he's right, is that the whole idea of politics is not only about living, about surviving, but about living well. So, man is a political animal, he lives in a polis, he is a political citizen, his goal is not just to live, but to live and to live well. And of course that should be a goal, because if you actualize your human nature, then you can live very well. That is why today he talks about politics and citizens. He doesn't say, oh, you should have that much of money or this much of money, but he introduces concepts such as justice and virtue. And I think that in this sense he's very, very relevant today. And it's a useful correction, because sometimes we tend to be overly materialistic, and I'm not saying that this is bad, but if we think correctly about our quality, then virtue and justice and education should be very much part of the equation. So let me conclude by a few more thoughts. And what's really striking is that Aristotle claims the regime affects and changing your soul. So he really believes in soul. So what he's saying is that the same person, you may be the same person, but you don't have the same soul if you live in Nazi Germany, or if you live in the liberal USA, or even here in Chalkidiki. So the shape of the regime affects the way we think, and what we or cannot do, and by affecting in a fundamental manner your behavior, it affects our soul. And of course Aristotle, who is making an examination, cannot not think what is the best regime. So he's clearly not a fan of democracy, of direct democracy, without checks and balances and without a constitution, because this regime killed Socrates. So we are not surprised that he's not a fan of direct democracy, but he is a fan of a mixed regime. Some could say democracy with rules and limits, with a constitution. He does not believe in extreme forms of regime. He is much more balanced in his approach, and in that sense, I think that he's relevant when he talks about justice, virtue, and a balanced regime. He's very relevant when he talks about the 20th century. So yes, Aristotle did accept slavery. He did not think women as equal. But that was when he was writing very many centuries ago. And these issues are not central to his philosophy. So yes, you can correct his mistakes, and without changing his basic arguments. What are his basic arguments again? Human being is a political animal, and the point of police regime is not just to live, but to live well. That regimes affect our souls, and when we talk about society, we need to talk about virtue, education, and justice. And a balanced regime is probably, that brings the elephant in other regimes, is probably the best way to go. So, how can we not talk about Aristotle 2,500 years ago afterwards? Thank you very much.
A saxophone for Greece now, a song by the famous Greek composer Stavros Xarchakos, performed by Melina Mercouri in the film Melina Mercouri's Greece, adapted by Mikro. So Bobby, stage is yours. Stay Babis with us. So, due to the national elections of Romania, was unable to participate. However, it is always with us as a friendly and sisterly country. For this reason, we will delegate a song to it. A traditional Romanian song, Noi System Romani, in the honor of the Romanian delegation, who would like to be with us, but for national elections did not allow it. Friends, Romanians, brothers and sisters, today we delegate our souls to you. So, great thanks to Babis Prodromidis. He will now give us a saxophone for Romania. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the day. Thank you for your patience. We will now move on the restaurant where the resort's executive chef, Tassos Paraskevaides, will offer us an authentic ancient Greek dinner, since today is International Culinary Fest Cuisina begins. Thank you very much.
Τελειώσαμε λοιπόν, πάμε για φαγητό. Πριν όμως από αυτό, οφείλω ένα λεπτό λίγο την προσοχή σας, γιατί οφείλω δύο ειδικές ευχαριστίες. Καταρχήν, να πω ότι αισθάνομαι ότι σήμερα ο Δήμος Αριστοτέλη μεγάλωσε λίγο. Τα σύνορά του πήγαν λίγο πιο πέρα. Αυτή είναι έτσι κι αλλιώς μια σταθερή δική μας προσήλωση και αγωνία να μεγαλώσουμε αυτόν τον τόπο, να μεγαλώσουμε τον πόη του. Και νομίζω ότι σήμερα μέσα από αυτές τις εξαιρετικές προσεγγίσεις που έγιναν και από τις εξαιρετικές ομιλίες ταξίδεψε έτσι το πνεύμα του Δήμου Αριστοτέλη, του Αριστοτέλη αυτής της περιοχής πάνω από όλα τα Βαλκάνια, και σας ευχαριστώ όλους όσοι συμμετείχατε. Ειδικές ευχαριστίες για το ξενοδοχείο που μας φιλοξενεί. Ειδικές ευχαριστίες στη Μαριάννα την Καραβά. Μαριάννα, είσαι ταλέντο τελικά στην παρουσίαση. Ευχαριστώ πολύ και η επιλογή είναι πάντα σταθερή. Αλλά ξέρετε ότι πάντα αφήνω στο τέλος την φίλη, την συμπορεύτρια, την σταθερή συνεργάτη που πέφτει με τα μούτρα στη δουλειά για να γίνουν όλα αυτά πραγματικότητα, γιατί εμείς πολλές φορές δίνουμε εντολές και άλλοι εκτελούν. Μαρία Πάπα, σε ευχαριστούμε για άλλη μια φορά. για την έμπνευση, για τη δουλειά, για την οργάνωση, για τη διοργάνωση. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ για τις ώρες και τις μέρες και τις νύχτες που ξοδεύεις για να γίνονται πράξη αυτά που σκεφτόμαστε μαζί. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Ελπίζω να μην είχαμε απώλειες, γιατί έχω κάνει μουσακά.
Κύριε Δήμαρχε,
Δήμαρχε, να πούμε μια φωτογραφία.
Πάμε.
300 χιλιόμετρα έκανα κατάρα.
μας πήρατε τη σειρά,
Έλα Μαρία Μαριάννα.
We have the national TV. Yes, the Bulgarian national TV.
Η Βάνα είναι από το Μαυροβούνιο. Είναι δική συνεργάτη του Υπουργού. Μετά είναι γενικός γραμματέας του Υπουργείου Τουρισμού του Μαυροβουνίου. Ναι, να πούμε τώρα μια φωτογραφία θέλουμε μαζί από το Μαυροβούνιο. Έλα μετά.